Okay, so let's talk about Hellraiser, the new movie from Hulu that is going to be out this Friday. I got the chance and privilege to actually check this out a couple of days early, and let me tell you, this was one of my most anticipated movies of the year when I first heard about it, getting announced, getting made, and I definitely was excited for this. I think Jamie Clayton was a great casting choice to play Pinhead, and now I'm excited to talk about it. But before we do, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We are on the road to 50,000 subscribers. Hit that notification bell. We have our giveaway video today where we're going to discuss how that's going to work, and we have a ton of more reviews today, as well as Piggy and Living with Chucky, two other movies we caught a fantastic fest. So let's talk about this Hellraiser movie, which, let me just say, Hulu is on a roll with horror, right? Because they delivered Prey, and then they delivered also Fresh earlier this year, and two really good movies, and now Hellraiser can be added to that list of good horror movies from Hulu, because this one is one I think a lot of people are going to love. So Hellraiser pretty much is a reimagining of the original Hellraiser, and they didn't want to say reboot or anything like that because they're saying it's just another story in the same universe of sorts. It doesn't necessarily mean that those movies are not canon or anything like that. It's just like, just go with this story right here, which I don't care. I think it's really done great. And I think Doug Bradley as well was a legend with the Pinhead role. And I think the Hellraiser movie that came out back in the 80s was definitely a movie where you see it as a pinnacle point for horror, where horror was something before Hellraiser and then horror became something else after Hellraiser. Like, I think that movie had a impact on the horror that we saw after it, and of course that franchise had a lot of sequels and all of that, but we're not going to talk about that today. We're talking about 2022's, and so let's get right into it. So let's start off with the good I loved in this movie, with first and foremost Pinhead. I think the priest who Jamie Clayton played here was exceptionally done. I think that a lot of people had the reservations and everything, especially, like I said, Doug Bradley being such a legend in the horror universe, playing this role for many years and very much so making it his own. There was a lot of reservation as to whether or not Jamie Clayton would deliver, and in my honest opinion, I think they excelled at this, and they've made this role their own as well, because the two Pinheads here are sort of different, but at the same time, they both are bone-chilling, and I would definitely be scared if I saw either one of them. Now, you do lose the leather here, and they said flesh is the new leather in this movie, and I definitely see it because the intricate design as well with the flesh and the wound and the openness of the body in here really made this design that much more creepier, in my opinion, and I really do think it is an iconic look as well, especially the way that Jamie Clayton's character, very much so, as if you read Clive Barker's novella that this is based on, you can really feel that this is the character that Clive Barker imagined seeing in that book, and I really did dig Jamie Clayton's performance here. So you're basically following this young woman who is sort of dealing with a lot of things, addiction and all of that, as well as her family sort of being overbearing on her, but at the same time, you know, they just care for her, and so there's choices that are made by her as well. And then you got another storyline with a billionaire who is trying to dabble into the dark arts as well and use it for his own gain, and then you have the Cenobites who are here just to do what the Cenobites do. All of these stories impact one another, and you just see them all mingle as you get deeper and deeper into the story, and it really does create this big sort of, I feel this movie felt a lot grander than most of the Hellraiser movies just because of this grand story, and I think some of the sets that they were in. But I don't really want to give too many spoilers for this because I think it's a movie, the less you know, the better it is as you see it unfold before your eyes. So I'm not going to give no spoilers, don't worry about that. The Cenobites designs here were really cool as well. Of course, you're missing a ton of the classic ones. I mean, are we going to talk about that DJ Cenobite back in the day? But no, I think you get some really cool designs from a lot of the new ones that they introduce here as well. And I was kind of excited that we were getting new Cenobites, because that's always an interesting thing about the Hellraiser movies. As you progress, you're wondering what new cool designers they're going to bring. And they definitely brought the designs here. I think all of them were very haunting, and they were very much so done well. And especially one scene in particular where you see them, it is very much so breathtaking, because one thing about this movie, it is beautifully shot. It is the colors, the palette that they chose for this movie that just looks exceptionally well, as well as the atmosphere that they give you for this movie, where it feels very much so a movie full of dread and sort of like mystique, and also this sort of feeling of just like, I don't know what's happening next. It looks scary, but it looks beautiful at the same time. I thought that was very much so show a very well done manner for this movie where it's just like a piece of art in my opinion. I also did like how they explored the lore more of the lament configuration as well as the different configurations that the box does have, as you saw from the trailer. It really did a good job at explaining that, and I know the other movies do that throughout the whole series, but I like what they were able to do with one movie where they were really able to get to the core basics of it so you have an understanding. And I think if they do sequels in the future, it has laid that groundwork, and it definitely makes the movie that much better when you go and look at these next movies that might come from it. Now, of course, I did love the movie, as I said, and I highly do recommend watching it. There were some things that I found a little for me, and it's just like minor things, but I still think that the movie as a whole is a must-see for sure, especially if you're a fan of horror and even Hellraiser. I mean, just a great movie, honestly. But for me, some of the things that I kind of found lacking in this movie definitely were the characters. I feel like there were a few times in this movie where the characters made decisions that just didn't make that much sense to me. And I know it's a horror movie, I know it's a movie, and it has to be for the plot and everything, but I was just there like, why would you do that, you know? Because we had already seen this character do decisions that they should, you know, like it didn't make sense, and it just felt like it was done just for the plot's sake. Felt that there was not enough emotion in this movie. Now, I'm not saying that Hellraiser is this like drama that's supposed to be like so like enriching and like a tearjerker and all of this. I'm not saying that at all, but I felt like the original Hellraiser had a little bit more this drama to it, whereas this one, it felt a little bit flat where it wanted me to feel something, and I was just there watching it like, I don't feel anything at all. But I think that's an issue with how the pacing was for this movie, because certain key scenes that I think were supposed to start these emotions for you sort of felt rushed, and by the time that it happened, we're already moving on all the way to another thing, and we had completely stopped talking about this thing. So I felt like that was the problem with it. Just some of those scenes that were supposed to be more impactful moved on a little too quick, in my opinion. But like I said, those were my only two gripes with it. Overall, I enjoyed the movie. I'm gonna watch it again because I thought it was very well done as an overall story and everything. I think the Cenobites are cool. I think that Pinhead is going to be talked about a lot because of how great a job Jamie Clayton did as the priest, and I'm excited to see what comes next. Hopefully we get some sequels and all of that, because I want to go more into this universe that they're developing with this new Hellraiser. I want to see what's next. I want to see more of it, so I'm excited to see it. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on it if you've watched it, and if you haven't, definitely check it out if you're a fan of Hellraiser and horror, like I said. But we have a ton of reviews more coming tonight. Actually, we have the Piggy review as well as the Living with Chucky, and then we're talking about the new Chucky season 2 episode that drops tonight. So stay tuned for the channel by hitting that notification bell, hitting that subscribe button, and as always, that is going to do it for me. A ton of spooky season stuff coming, my crappy decorations, but I'm going to try and fix this because this looks like crap. But anyways, as always, I'll see all of you next time. Stay safe, stay positive.